Okay, welcome to our second lesson in this Excel tutorial. In this one, I'm going to teach you how to navigate Excel intelligently so that you don't have to use the mouse and so that you can get around much more quickly than if you just use the arrow keys to move left, right, up, and down like we did last time. And as I mentioned, you could just use the arrow keys to navigate, and if you have a really small worksheet, a really small model, that may work. And sometimes if you need to be precise or you need to actually move back and forth between adjacent cells, and that can work. But the real way you want to navigate when you're in Excel is you want to hold down the control key. So hold the controlled key down right now and then press the down arrow key to move all the way to the bottom. Keep holding control down and then press the right arrow key, press the up arrow key, and then press the left arrow key. And so what the control plus arrow key combination does is it lets you move to the border of whatever area you're in. So Excel is smart enough to tell that all this text right here is all just one area, and we can move around by pressing the control key plus the arrow keys. So we hold down the control key and we press control up to move up, control down to move down, and then right to move all the way to the right, and then left to move all the way to the left. This is something you will use constantly in Excel, and it's almost impossible not to know this if you're in investment banking, because otherwise you'd go crazy trying to navigate. But it's one of the most commonly used shortcuts and something you definitely need to know if you want to make any kind of serious models or do any data manipulation in Excel. So the control plus arrow key combination is extremely important, and I would say it's probably the most important shortcut for you to know in Excel. Now, if you get to the edge of a boundary area, like we have here, if you press Control and then the down arrow key, you get to the next area. So once again, Excel is smart enough to know this, and if you keep holding down the Control key and then you press the arrow keys, you just move across the border areas of each of these main sections like that. So you can play around with this yourself and move between each of these different areas like that. And keep in mind that once you release the Control key, then you'll go back to just moving between individual cells like that. So hold down the control key when you want to jump between them and move up quickly. And once you get good at this, you can press the up arrow key pretty quickly and get all the way to the top like that, move all the way to the bottom like that. I'm just holding down control and pressing the down and up arrow keys very quickly here. So the control and arrow key combination is critical to know when you're navigating Excel. The other combination that I would say is really, really important is the shift arrow key combination. So holding down the shift key and pressing the arrow keys. What that does is it lets you select multiple cells at once. So if we hold down shift right here and press the right arrow key, we see that the industry gets selected now. Press right again and we get more cells selected like that. Then if we start pressing the down arrow key, we start getting those cells selected too, and we can go all the way down like that. If we press left, like I just did there, then we move to the left. We start pressing up, then we move back up to the top. And this works no matter where you are in the sheet. So if we're even on the outside here in the boundary, outside the boundary area, and we started holding down shift and started pressing the arrow keys, then it would also let us move around like that and select multiple cells at once. So control basically lets us jump around between different areas to the boundaries, and then shift lets us select multiple cells at once, like I'm doing right now. Now that you have multiple cells selected, well, you can actually copy all these cells at once. Control C, then we can zoom to the bottom with Control down arrow key, and we can actually paste it right there. So by selecting these multiple cells like that, we can actually cut, copy, and paste them, and it's really useful and something you'll use all the time. We'll press Control Z now to undo this because we don't need it. I just pressed Escape to get rid of the highlighting from the copy above, and now we're just going to go back up to the top with Control plus the up arrow key. Now another thing you can do, and another thing that you'll find yourself doing a lot in Excel, is actually combining them. So you can press down both the Shift and the Control key at once, and what that'll do is it'll select multiple cells and jump to the boundary. So if we press Shift, Control, and down, it selects that entire column. If we press right now, it selects this entire area. And this is incredibly useful. These shortcuts that I just went through now, the Shift, Control, and the arrow key combinations are probably the most commonly used shortcuts when you're navigating and manipulating data in Excel. So it's crucially important that you know these. it's literally almost impossible to do any kind of substantial modeling or anything like that unless you know these shortcuts to begin with. So just keep that in mind that Shift Control lets you select an entire region at once by just pressing the arrow keys. And we see that we can jump over to this other region, press Shift Control down and then right to select that region. Press Shift Control down and then right to select that whole region. Jump to the other one, Shift Control down and then right to select that. Then jump to this one, Shift Control down and right to select that. Now, if we're outside a boundary area, then it's not going to quite work as intended because it'll select literally the entire column all the way down to the bottom of the page. So when we're using this Control-Shift combination, it's much more useful to actually be within a specific boundary area. Now, another thing you can do to build on top of this is you can actually select multiple areas of multiple cells at once. What I mean is that what we can do is this. We can select this area, and then we can go over here and select this area, and you see that they're highlighted. We can select this area, and then we can select this area. And as with before, we can then go and copy this and paste it. It doesn't quite show up correctly, but you get the basic idea. And the way we do that is we select this whole area with Shift Control down and then right, and then we press Shift F8. Shift F8 to keep that selected, and then we press the arrow keys. We press Control right arrow to move to the right area, and then we select this with Shift Control down arrow key, Shift Control right arrow key. Press Shift F8 to keep that selected, and then we press Control down again, and so on and so forth. So the magic key here is Shift F8. That's what lets us keep multiple areas selected at once. And you don't use this all that frequently. It sort of depends on what you're doing, but it can be very useful depending on the situation, and it's just another way to navigate around, another way to save yourself time when you're using Excel. So what I want you to do for practice for this one is pretty simple. So let me show you exactly what you should do here. I want you to basically select each of the different areas of this spreadsheet that you see right in front of you. So I want you to select multiple areas of multiple cells, everything that's on the screen right now. So when you're done, your spreadsheet should look like this. We select the entire first area, the entire second area, the entire third area, the entire fourth area, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and then the eighth area. So when you're done, your spreadsheet should look exactly like this. And I went through that very quickly, but keep in mind that the Shift Control and arrow keys will let you select the area, and then Shift F8 will let you keep it selected and then move on to a different area. So pause the video right now and see if you can replicate exactly what this looks like on screen. And then when you resume the video, I'll just go through it, and this time I'll give you all the shortcuts I'm using so you can check it against what you did. Okay, good. So let's press Escape now to get rid of all this selection and just move all the way up to the top. And this time I'll walk you through that once again, except this time around I'll actually be telling you the shortcut keys I'm using. So first I'm going to press Shift Control and then the down arrow key, and then press right to get this area selected. Then I'll press Shift F8. Then I will press Control right and then Control right again. Shift Control down and then right, Shift F8. Control down, Shift Control down right, Shift F8. Control left, Control Shift down and then right, Shift F8. Control down, Control Shift down, right, Shift F8. Control right, Shift Control down, right, Shift F8. Control down, Shift Control down, right, Shift F8. Control left, Shift Control down, right, and then Shift F8. And that gets everything selected. So the point of doing that was just to get some practice navigating, because you will be doing this a lot in Excel. And it's hard to learn this in the abstract, but once you finish going through this entire tutorial, then you go back through it again, and then you start looking at some of the models and try to actually use all these shortcuts. It'll start to sink in. And then finally, once you start working and you have to actually do this under time pressure, then it'll really sink in because you absolutely need to use all these shortcuts when you're on a deadline. You need to get something done quickly. That's it for our tutorial on basic navigation within Excel. Those few key combinations that I just showed you are by far the most important ones you need to know.